You think sending more messages is going to bring them closer. It will not. In fact, every extra text you send is slowly pushing them further away, and nobody tells you this. Nobody explains why the avoidant person in your life turns cold the moment things start feeling good. Nobody hands you the actual words that work, until now. Here is what most people do not understand about avoidant attachment. The rules that apply to every other person you have ever liked do not apply here. What works on someone secure, someone emotionally open, someone who actually wants closeness, those same approaches will completely backfire with an avoidant. And if you have been trying to love an avoidant the way you would love anyone else, you have already felt this. You have felt them pull away. You have felt the confusion. You have sent a warm message and watched them go completely silent. You have put everything into the connection and somehow ended up with less than you began with. That stops today. What I am going to give you are 4 specific types of texts. Not general advice, not soft suggestions, but actual approaches with the psychology behind why they work on an avoidant brain specifically. Because once you understand how an avoidant processes communication, once you see what triggers their walls and what quietly brings them down, you will never send a text the same way again. But before we get into the texts, you need to understand something very important, something that will change everything you thought you knew about this person. An avoidant is not cold because they do not feel. They are cold because they feel too deeply. And they have spent their whole life learning that feelings lead to pain. Somewhere in their past, probably early on, they learned that depending on someone emotionally was dangerous, that needing people meant getting hurt, so they built a wall, a very strong, very convincing wall. And from behind that wall they watch you. They notice you. They are often more drawn to you than they ever show. But the moment they feel the pull getting too strong, something inside them hits a panic button and they pull back. This is not personal. I know it feels personal. I know it feels like rejection, but it is a reflex. It is almost automatic. The avoidant is not sitting there thinking, I want to hurt this person. They are sitting there thinking, this is getting too close, and closeness has always cost me something. So the question is not, how do I make them like me more? The question is, how do I communicate in a way that does not trigger that panic button? How do I build connection without crowding them? How do I make them feel drawn in without making them feel trapped? And the answer lives in 4 very specific texting approaches. Before we get into the first one, drop a word in the comments. Just one word. Whatever you are feeling right now about this person. Nervous, confused, hopeful, exhausted, whatever it is, put it there. And if you want to actually change how things go with this person, subscribe. We are trying to reach 1,000 subscribers, and we are genuinely not close yet. Every single one matters. Hit that button. Now, let us get into this. The first text is what I call the no-pressure check-in. And I need you to understand why pressure is the worst thing for an avoidant before you can understand why this text works so well. When an avoidant gets a message that carries emotional weight behind it, a message that requires them to match your energy, respond at your level, or acknowledge your feelings, something closes off inside them. It is not that they do not want to reply. It is that the expectation feels like a wall closing in on them. Even a simple, "How are you?" can feel heavy if it comes with the unspoken meaning of, "I need you to emotionally engage with me right now." So, the no-pressure check-in removes all of that. It sounds something like this. "Hey, no need to reply right away. Just wanted to say I thought of you when I saw this." And then you attach something genuinely relevant to them. A funny post about something they love. A news story about a topic they care about. A photo of something that reminded you of a specific conversation you once had. Then nothing more. No question marks, hoping for a response. No "I miss you" added at the end. No small hint that you are sitting there waiting. That is it. Clean, light, and real. Now, why does this work on an avoidant specifically? Because you have done something almost nobody does. You have removed the expectation. You have told them, before they could feel trapped, that the exit door is right there. No pressure. And interestingly, that is the exact moment they stop running for the exit. Because avoidants do not run from people. They run from obligation. They run from emotional debt. The moment they feel like they owe someone something, they disappear. But when there is nothing owed, when the text is genuinely just a thought you had about them with zero strings attached, the avoidant brain can actually breathe. And when it can breathe, it can respond. You will find that this kind of message often gets a reply faster than anything more emotionally loaded you have ever sent. Not always. Avoidants are unpredictable, but significantly more often than you would expect. There is a version of this that works even better. When the thing you share connects to something specific they told you. Not a general thing, a specific thing. If they mentioned once that they have a complicated relationship with their hometown, and you send them a fun article about that city, you are showing them something powerful. You are showing them that you listened, that you were present, that you remembered, and that you are not asking for anything in return. That is the kind of thing that stays with a person. The avoidant thinks about that before going to sleep that night, because most people in their life have never just given them something without needing something back. The second text is what I call the confident, low-investment reach-out. And this one requires you to be in a certain headspace to pull it off. You cannot fake this. The avoidant will feel it immediately if you do. Here is what it sounds like. Something along the lines of, "Just had the strangest day. It would have made you laugh. Hope yours was better." Or maybe something like, "This city is full of interesting characters today. You would have hated it." Which really means you would have loved it. Short, specific to them, and completely self-contained. Notice what is happening there. You are sharing a moment from your own life. You are letting them in just a little bit. You are mentioning them in a way that shows you know who they actually are as a person, and then you are wrapping it up yourself. You are not leaving it open for them to feel pressure from. You are not saying, "Tell me about your day," or "What are you up to?" You are simply including them in your world for a brief moment and then stepping back. This works because avoidants are deeply attracted to people who have their own lives. Not just people who claim to have their own lives, but people who show it. The fact that you have a story to share, that something happened to you, that you found it worth mentioning, all of that signals that you are a person with presence, with energy, with a life that exists completely apart from them. And here is the thing about that. An avoidant will pull away from someone who seems to be circling around them. Someone who seems to have made them the center of everything, because that feels like pressure. That feels like weight. But someone who is clearly living their own life, clearly having their own experiences, clearly not sitting by the phone waiting for a reply, that person becomes genuinely interesting. That person becomes something to move toward rather than something to escape from. The second part of this text is the confident tone. Not arrogant, not performed, just calm and grounded. There is an ease to it, a lightness. You are not trying to impress them. You are not trying to pull out a response. You are just being a real person, a person with a voice, a perspective, and a life worth knowing about. The third text is what I am calling the open door callback, and it is probably the most overlooked move in the entire approach of connecting with an avoidant. Here is the situation. Something happened between you two. Maybe they went quiet. Maybe you had a moment that faded out. Maybe a plan fell through and you are both stuck in that strange in-between space where no one has said anything about it. Most people in this situation either push too hard, sending a long message about how they feel, what they want, what happened, what does it all mean, and on, or they go completely quiet, hoping the other person will reach out first, feeling bitter when they do not. The open door callback does neither of those things. It sounds something like this. Still happy to grab that coffee whenever you come back around. No rush at all. Or something like, that place we talked about checking out is apparently really good. The offer stands whenever you want to go. What you have done there is remarkable in how simple it is. You have brought up something that existed between the two of you, something shared, something that had meaning, and you have done it without drama, without blame, without any weight attached to it. You have simply left the door open. You have said, I remember, I am still here, and I am not making this a big deal. That is extraordinarily powerful for an avoidant, because the thing they fear most about reconnecting after going quiet is that they will be met with hurt, with accusations, with someone who needs them to explain themselves. And when instead they are met with ease, with lightness, with a message that says no pressure, just wanted you to know the door is still open, everything changes. The walls come down a little, the panic fades a little, and they start to think, maybe I can actually step back into this without it costing me everything. That is the opening you need. The fourth text is what I call the genuine curiosity text, and it is the one that most people either overdo or skip entirely. Here is the thing about avoidance. They do not want to feel like a project. They do not want to feel like something you are trying to fix or figure out or unlock. Nothing makes an avoidant close off faster than feeling like they are being studied. But they do want to feel seen. They want to feel like someone genuinely finds them interesting, not as a puzzle to solve, but as a person worth knowing. The genuine curiosity text taps directly into that. It sounds something like this. I was thinking about what you said about your dad the other week. Did that conversation ever happen the way you hoped? Or something like, you mentioned once you almost took a completely different path in life. I keep thinking about that. What was the other option? Notice what is different about these. They are questions, yes, but they are not questions about the relationship. They are not questions about your feelings or where things stand or what they want. They are questions about them, about their story, about who they are as a person. And that distinction matters more than almost anything else when it comes to an avoidant. Because asking about the relationship puts them on the spot. It asks them to define something, to commit to a feeling, to make a statement about closeness, and all of that sends them straight toward the exit. But asking about their life, their past, their thoughts, their choices, that does not ask them to define anything. It just asks them to share something. And avoidants can do that. Many of them are actually very thoughtful and very willing to talk when they do not feel backed into a corner. The key is that your curiosity has to be real. This is not a technique to perform. If you are asking about something they said because you genuinely remember it and genuinely want to know more, they will feel that. And that feeling is rare for them. Most people in an avoidance life stop asking after a while. They give up trying to understand. They either accept the surface version of this person or they leave. So when someone keeps showing up with real interest, with actual attention, with questions that prove they have been listening all along, the avoidant takes notice. Not loudly, not with a sudden declaration of feelings, but quietly, internally, they take note. And that quiet noticing is how real movement happens with an avoidant. Not in big dramatic moments, but in small, repeated signals that say, I see you. I am not going anywhere. and I do not need you to be anything other than what you already are. So let us bring all four of these together for a moment. The no-pressure check-in shows them they are on your mind without making them feel they owe you anything. The confident, low-investment reach-out shows them you have a full life and are not waiting around for them to complete it. The open-door callback shows them that the space between you does not have to be awkward and that you are still here without making it heavy. And the genuine curiosity text shows them that you find them interesting as a person, not just as someone you want something from. Together, these four approaches do something very specific. They slowly lower the temperature around the connection. They take the pressure down. They make it feel safer to be close to you. And that is the whole game with an avoidant. You are not trying to force them closer. You are not trying to convince them to feel something. You are creating the conditions under which they can choose to stay. Because an avoidant who feels safe will always move toward you. An avoidant who feels pressured will always move away. And now you know which direction to push the temperature. You have left a door open without forcing them to walk through it. And you have shared something important, that you are not upset, that you have not given up on them, that the choice still exists. For someone who avoids closeness, this is an almost impossible kind of message to ignore, because their deepest fear is that getting close will eventually cost them the relationship, that they will open up and then something will go wrong, and they will lose that person, and it will confirm everything they already believe about emotional connection being dangerous. So they pull away first. They get ahead of the loss before it arrives. But when you send this text, you are telling them something they almost never hear. You are saying, I am still here. I am not punishing you for needing space. The option is still available and it has no deadline. That combination of patience and calm and continued interest without any pressure. It changes the story they have been telling themselves about what happens when they withdraw. Most people leave. Most people get hurt and turn cold. Most people punish them for needing distance. You simply left the door open. And that, to someone with an avoidant nature, is an almost surprising act of emotional kindness. Now here is what you need to understand about using this text. Your tone has to be real. If you are burning inside and trying to use this as a calculated move while privately hoping they feel guilty, it will not work. The words might appear the same, but the feeling behind them will be different. People who avoid closeness are incredibly sensitive to emotional undercurrents. They have had to be their entire lives. It was a way of surviving. They will pick up on the manipulation, even if they cannot explain it. So, when you send this, send it from a genuine place, from a place of truly meaning it. You are genuinely fine with them taking their time. You are genuinely still interested. You are genuinely not falling apart. If you are not in that place yet, focus on getting there before you send anything. The fourth text is the one that tends to catch people off guard the most, because it goes against every natural instinct you have when you care about someone. It is what you could call the disappearing act approach, and it is less of a single text and more of a texting philosophy. Here is how it works. You send something engaging, something with a little energy to it, and then you go quiet. Genuinely quiet, not strategically quiet where you are checking your phone every few minutes. Actually quiet. You go and live your life. You make plans. You do the thing you have been putting aside. You call the friend you have been meaning to reach. You go to the gym or take a long walk or begin the project you kept delaying. You genuinely step out of the waiting room, and while you are doing that, something starts to happen inside the avoidant's mind, because the avoidant is used to being the one who creates distance. It is their move. It is how they keep control of the emotional temperature in a connection. When you suddenly become the one who is not right there, available and visible and waiting, something begins to shift. Curiosity gets activated. People who avoid closeness are not immune to missing others. They actually miss people quite deeply. They just rarely admit it, even to themselves. But when someone they are genuinely drawn to becomes less available, that feeling rises to the surface. The question forms in their head, where did they go? Are they okay? Did something change? Are they less interested now? And that question, that small seed of uncertainty, is actually healthy for a connection with someone like this. Not manufactured uncertainty, not games, but the natural uncertainty that comes from two people genuinely having separate lives. From you not being endlessly available, from you being someone with things to do and places to be. The text that follows your quiet period should feel casual and relaxed. It should feel like you just came back because something genuinely reminded you of them or because you wanted to share something small. Not because you have been counting the hours. Not because the silence was slowly destroying you. Just because you thought of them and you reached out. That combination of genuine stepping back followed by easy re-engagement is one of the most powerful communication patterns you can build with someone who avoids closeness. It matches the rhythm they need. It gives them the space they are always quietly looking for. And then it offers connection without any demand attached to it. Now, there is something important that sits beneath all four of these texts, because the texts themselves are not actually the point. The texts are just the container. What matters more is the place you are texting from inside yourself. If you are in a constant state of worry about this person, if you are carefully weighing every word before you send it, if you are reading every reply for hidden meaning, if you are lying awake at night trying to figure out where things stand, then even the most perfectly written text in the world is going to carry that worry inside it. People feel energy. We are remarkably good at sensing when someone is calm and when someone is desperate, even through a screen, even through just a few words. So, as much as understanding these four texts matters, what matters even more is the inner shift required to actually use them well. That shift is about genuinely becoming less focused on this one person, not as a trick, not as a technique to pull them closer, but as a real rebalancing of where your attention and energy actually go each day. Because right now, if you are deep in this thing with someone who avoids closeness, there is a good chance that a large part of your mental energy every single day is being spent on this one person, on what they said, on what they might say, on what you should do next, on whether they are thinking about you at all. And that is completely understandable. These kinds of connections create a type of emotional push and pull that is genuinely addictive in the way it affects your brain and body. The back and forth reinforcement, the moments of warmth followed by distance,